Before any thought, there's a body. Before any story you tell yourself, there's a breath that got shorter, a shoulder that lifted just a little without you noticing, a jaw that tightened, a stomach that braced like it was waiting for impact that never comes. You know this state, not because someone taught you, because you've lived in it so long, it started to feel normal. Stay with me. By the end, this will make sense in your body. There's something that happens before the catastrophic thought, before your mind builds the worst-case scenario, before the images, before the words that say it's going to go wrong. You're going to lose this. People will leave. There's a physical signal, small, almost invisible, but it's there, and it always comes first. Most people never notice it. They go straight to the content of the fear, to what's being imagined, to the scenario. The mind builds with so much detail and so much precision, so much quiet cruelty. But today, we're doing something different. Today, we start with the body. We slow this down. We step into it carefully, because this way of operating, this habit of imagining the worst before anything even happened, it didn't come out of nowhere. It was built piece by piece, experience by experience. And when you start to see how it was built, something shifts. Not all at once, not dramatically, but it shifts. This will take a little time, and that's okay. You don't have to be anywhere else right now. His name is Raphael. He's 32, works at a logistics company. He wakes up every morning at 6:20. 2 minutes before his alarm, already slightly on edge. He doesn't know why. He looks at the day ahead, pretty normal. A meeting at 10, lunch with a co-worker, a report in the afternoon. Nothing that should explain that tightness in his chest the moment he opens his eyes. But it's there. He stays in bed for a few seconds, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. The light is still dim. The apartment is quiet and still. Something in his chest is acting like something bad is about to happen. He gets up, walks to the bathroom. While he brushes his teeth, he looks at his face in the mirror, and the mind starts. Slow at first, almost gentle, a memory from yesterday, something his manager said in a meeting. Maybe it meant something else. Maybe he's not sure. And because he's not sure, the mind gets to work. What if he wasn't happy with my work? He spits, rinses his face. The water is cold. For a second, it interrupts the thought. Just a second. What if I lose my job? He grabs a towel, dries his face automatically. The question has already grown. It has weight now. It has consequences. If I lose my job, I won't make rent. If I can't make rent, I'll have to move back in with my parents. And then, the sequence builds on its own, fast, precise. Like his mind has run this path so many times it knows every turn by heart, every outcome, all of them bad, all of them detailed. And what's happening in his body while all of this is going on? His jaw tightens, not dramatically, just a steady, quiet pressure. His teeth rest against each other in a way he doesn't notice. But later, it turns into that dull headache behind his eyes. His shoulders lift half an inch, maybe an inch. It's not obvious fear, it's subtle. The body preparing, closing in just a little, like it's trying to take up less space in the world while the mind builds danger. His breath gets shallow. Air comes in halfway. The diaphragm doesn't fully drop. His whole system goes into this suspended state, like it's not safe to breathe too deeply. Like calm itself might be a trap. Raphael doesn't notice any of this. To him, he's just thinking, planning, being responsible, trying to stay ahead of problems. He walks into the kitchen, starts the coffee maker. While it brews, he checks his phone. Notifications, nothing from work, and that silence, which should mean nothing, which should just be silence, becomes data. Why hasn't anyone messaged yet? Is something happening I don't know about? The coffee machine beeps. He picks up the mug. It's hot. For a second, the warmth in his hand grounds him. Just temperature, just that moment. But it doesn't last. He sits down, looks out the window. The day is starting. People walking. A dog being walked. Life moving forward with a kind of ease he can't access right now, because inside, he's already lived through 3 different disasters, and it's not even 7 a.m. Have you had a day like that? You don't have to answer, but if your body reacted before your mind did, notice that. That's where this starts. Raphael has a meeting at 10. It's 8:40. He's sitting at his computer trying to finish a report. The document is open. The words are waiting, but his mind isn't there. It's back in October last year. There were layoffs. He didn't get fired. He made it through, but he remembers the faces of the ones who didn't, the smell of the room that day, how his stomach shut down for weeks after, barely eating, sleeping badly, waking up in the middle of the night with his heart racing. He remembers all of it, not because he wants to, but because his mind went there and his body followed. Right now, on a normal Tuesday morning at 8:40, his body is reacting to October like it's happening again. Same breathing, same posture, same tension. The body doesn't do a great job telling past, present and future apart when the alarm is on. If the image feels real enough, if the sensation is strong enough, to the body, it's happening now. Raphael has lived like this for years. Sometimes he notices. Most of the time, he doesn't. He types a few words, stops, reads them again, deletes, starts over. He watches the cursor blink. His breath is stuck just above his stomach, not deep, not landing. His phone vibrates. A message from his girlfriend, a photo from her breakfast. Simple, warm. He smiles, sends a heart emoji, and for a second, his chest softens. There's warm presence. Then the mind comes back. What if she gets tired of this anxiety one day? That's it. A moment of love turns into material for the next scenario. His mind takes something good and starts scanning for what could go wrong. Not because he's negative, not because he doesn't love her, but because the system inside him learned over time that its main job is to look for danger. And when there isn't any clear danger, it creates it. That's the core of what we're looking at today, not the thought, the system that generates it. Because while Raphael keeps trying to control his thoughts, to replace the worst-case scenario with a better one, to convince himself everything is fine, the system underneath keeps running. It keeps scanning, producing, feeding his body the same signal of threat. And he gets tired, not from work, not from the relationship, from the constant effort of managing a mind that won't stop. Do you feel that kind of tired? Not the kind from lack of sleep, the other one. The kind that comes from being on all the time, always monitoring, always one step ahead of something that hasn't even happened. If you do, you can breathe right now. Not because this is about to disappear, but because you're not the only one in it. At 10, Raphael joins the meeting. He shows up. He asks good questions. He contributes. His manager even smiles at him a couple of times. Nothing happens. The meeting ends in 40 minutes. The day moves on, but the whole time, underneath the visible competence, his body is in constant evaluation mode. Every pause gets analyzed, every tone of voice tracked, every glance measured, not because he wants to do this, but because the system never turned off. He walked into that meeting with the alarm already on, and when the alarm is on, everything becomes data. After the meeting, he goes to the bathroom, looks at himself in the mirror again. His face is slightly different now. There's a kind of tiredness in his eyes that isn't about sleep. It's internal work, hours of processing on a loop, something that never actually happened. He takes a breath, a deep one, almost by surprise, like his body needed it for hours, and finally found a gap. And for a moment, in that bathroom, everything goes quiet. That moment, that brief silence, that small relief when the body gets a break from the alarm, that's where we're going to start in the next part. Because that alarm has an origin, it has a logic, it has a name, and when something has a name, it starts to lose its grip. For now, stay with this. You've lived a day like Raphael's. Maybe it's today, maybe it's every week. What you feel isn't weakness. It's a system that learned to work this way, and anything that was learned with time and the right kind of attention can be learned again. There's a moment in Raphael's day he never tells anyone about. It's after lunch. Somewhere between 12:40 and whatever comes next. A small gap, 15 minutes, maybe 20. His stomach is full. His body should be relaxed. But he sits down, looks at the screen, and something strange happens. Nothing. There's no immediate threat. No urgent deadline, no message waiting for a reply. The silence is real, and because it's real, because there's nothing to process, nothing to solve, something in him gets uncomfortable. He grabs his phone, opens Instagram, scrolls for 2 minutes. Without really seeing anything, closes it, opens WhatsApp, nothing new, closes it, opens Instagram again. He's not bored, he's uncomfortable with silence, because when silence shows up, When there's no urgency to hold on to, his mind fills the space with the next possible scenario, and his body, which learned to stay on alert, reads that quiet as the moment before something goes wrong. Like calm is just the setup, so he creates movement, creates noise, creates something to hold on to. No one around him notices. From the outside, he's functional, present, capable, but inside, he hasn't really rested on a weekday in 5 years. There's one afternoon he remembers clearly. It was a Friday. He finished everything early. His manager let the team go an hour ahead of time. Everyone left excited. Raphael did too. Said he was going to enjoy it. He got home at 5. His girlfriend was still working. The apartment was quiet. Late afternoon light came through the window. That soft, almost golden kind. Objectively, it was a good moment. A gift, really. He sat on the couch, turned on the TV, watched for a few minutes without really watching, turned it off, sat in the silence, and the silence started to hurt. Not physically, but in a way he didn't have words for. A kind of restlessness moving through his body, like he needed to do something, fix something, be ready for something. His chest tightened, just a little. His hands didn't know where to land. His feet kept moving, tapping the floor without rhythm. He stood up, walked to the kitchen, drank a glass of water, came back, sat down, stood up again, went to the window, looked outside, came back. Somewhere in those 15 minutes, and the mind started. You're wasting time. Then everyone else is doing something right now, and then you're just sitting here. Then, if you keep this up, you're gonna fall behind. And his body reacted to each one of those thoughts like they were urgent truths. His chest tightened more. His breath got shallow. His shoulders lifted again, that familiar half-inch of tension his body carries like a default setting. Raphael ended up opening his laptop and working for 2 more hours. Not because he had to, but because working was the only way he knew how to quiet the alarm. When his girlfriend got home and asked how his afternoon was, he said, "Worked a bit, relaxed a little," and he believed it because to him, that afternoon felt normal, like that's just how people are. But the body keeps a record, not in words, in accumulated tension, in patterns repeated so many times they become background, in a posture that's been held so long he can't even tell he's tense anymore, because tense is baseline. There's something that happens when the body lives in a state of chronic alert for too long. It starts producing that state on its own, independent of what's happening outside. It doesn't need a stressful meeting anymore, or a confusing message, or a memory from October. The body learned how to generate the signal by itself. Like a system that's been on for so long, it forgot how to turn off. And the mind, always trying to explain what the body is feeling, finds a reason. It always does. If the body feels like there's danger, the mind builds a story, creates a scenario, fills the space with something that could go wrong. Not because the mind is cruel, but because it's trying to make sense of the signal. This is the loop. The body sends alarm. The mind creates a reason. The reason confirms the alarm. The body intensifies the signal. The mind builds a more detailed scenario, and around it goes. Raphael isn't stuck in thoughts. He's stuck in the loop. And while he tries to control his thoughts, the loop keeps running. While he tries to replace the worst-case scenario with a better one, the loop keeps running. While he takes a deep breath and tells himself everything's fine, underneath it all, the loop keeps going. Not because he's weak, but because he's trying to fix upstairs what started downstairs. There's a night he doesn't forget. He and his girlfriend were having dinner. Just a normal Thursday. Pasta she made. TV on in the background. A simple, real moment. At some point, she got quiet for a few minutes. Not heavy silence. Just the kind that comes after a long day. Present, but quiet. The kind of silence that exists in any real relationship. Raphael's body picked it up in less than 30 seconds. His shoulders lifted. His jaw tightened. He placed his fork down with extra care, like he needed to control every movement so he wouldn't draw attention to himself. The mind started. Why is she quiet? Did I do something? Did I say something wrong this morning? Is she upset and not saying it? Or am I making this up? But if everything was fine, she wouldn't be this quiet. He looked at her. She was just eating. watching TV, completely neutral, no real sign that anything was wrong. But his body was already in damage control mode, already scanning, already preparing for confirmation that something had broken. At some point, she looked at him and said, "This pasta turned out really good, right?" And his body let go all at once. A wave of relief, so disproportionate to a sentence about pasta, he felt a little embarrassed. But she didn't notice, and he didn't say anything. That's the weight Raphael carries. Not on his shoulders, in his system, a constant state of monitoring that doesn't rest, doesn't take weekends off, doesn't know the difference between a quiet Thursday night and real danger. If you've ever felt on edge because someone you love got a little too quiet, you understand what he was carrying at that table. You don't have to say it, but if you felt it in your body, that's enough. Raphael's alarm didn't come out of nowhere. Nothing does. There's a 9-year-old boy who grew up in a home where moods shifted too fast to feel predictable. It wasn't violence. It was instability. It was walking into the house and having to feel the air first, before deciding how to act. It was learning to read micro-expressions before learning big words. His body learned something essential. Safety isn't constant. It has to be monitored, maintained, watched, all the time. And the system that learned that did exactly what it was supposed to do. It paid attention, stayed alert, tracked mood shifts, anticipated conflict, prepared for impact before it came. That was intelligence. That was survival. That was a system doing the best it could with what it had. The problem isn't that he learned it. The problem is the system never got the message that things changed. Raphael is 32 now. The apartment is his. His job is stable. His girlfriend isn't unpredictable. His manager isn't a real threat. But the system doesn't know that. The system is still in 1999, standing in a hallway, feeling the air before walking in. So it scans, it triggers the alarm, and the mind builds the worst-case scenario, because that's what a surveillance system does when there's no clear danger. It creates one. To justify the state, to make sense of the signal. This system has a name, and when something has a name, it starts to lose its grip. The name is the Watcher. The Watcher learned that relaxing is dangerous, that trusting silence is naive, that calm before the storm isn't rest, it's a trap. The Watcher doesn't sleep, it doesn't rest. It never believes things are safe enough to stop scanning. You're not broken. You have a Watcher that was never given permission to stand down, and that changes everything. This isn't about character. It's not weakness. It's a system built to protect you, still running like it has to. In the next part, we'll look at what happens when you try to fight the Watcher, why that makes it worse, and what to do instead. Stay with me. The Watcher isn't the enemy. It's the part of you that learned how to survive. It has a name now, and when something has a name, it starts to lose its grip. Because naming isn't judging, it's not pushing it away, it's recognizing. It's saying, I see you, I get why you're here. You made sense at some point. In some ways, you still do, but maybe there's another way now. The Watcher has an opposite, not a perfect hero, not someone who never feels fear. The opposite of the Watcher is the Observer. The Observer doesn't ignore signals, doesn't pretend everything's fine. The Observer notices everything the Watcher notices, but instead of building a worst-case scenario, it just watches, registers, lets it pass. The Observer has a flaw too. Sometimes it watches too much. Sometimes it stays still when it should act. But that flaw is trainable, it's human, and it's not catastrophic. The Observer knows silence isn't always a trap. That quiet doesn't always mean something changed. That the body can lower its guard without everything falling apart. But before any of that, there's a trap you need to see. A central one. The trap is this. Fighting the alarm makes the alarm louder. You don't notice it happening because it feels like the opposite. Your chest tightens at 7 a.m. You take a deep breath. You tell yourself everything's fine. Repeat in your head, nothing bad is gonna happen. You picture a perfect day. You do everything right. And for a moment, the alarm softens. You feel relief. You think it worked. You think you controlled your mind. But here's what actually happened. You gave the alarm more attention. You stepped into the ring with it. You said, hey, stop. And the alarm, which is a protection system, reads that as confirmation. Something's wrong. We need to stay alert. Because protection systems don't understand logic. They understand intensity. attention. The more you fight the Watcher, the more you prove to your body that it's right, that there is danger, that the vigilance is necessary. Raphael did this every day. He'd breathe, tell himself, stop imagining things, try to focus on the present, and the alarm would come back stronger 30 minutes later, because his body learned if the mind is spending this much energy trying to shut something down, it must be important. That's the trap, not the alarm itself, the war against it. And when you stop fighting, something different happens. Not magic, not instant peace, space, a slight opening, just enough to see what's underneath the noise. Have you ever tried to fight an anxious thought and felt it come back stronger? Took a few deep breaths and felt your chest tighten even more after? That's the Watcher saying, thanks for confirming I'm right. Let's go back to Raphael for a moment. A specific night. A night he tried to fight it. It was a Saturday. He and his girlfriend were going out, nothing big. A bar nearby, friends, easy conversation. At 8 p.m., getting ready, he looked in the mirror. Nothing wrong. Hair fine, clothes fine, but his chest was already tight, his shoulders already lifted. The mind started, what if I say something wrong? What if her friends think I'm boring? What if I ruin the night somehow? Raphael stopped, closed his eyes, took a deep breath, did what he once read about mindfulness. Stay present, stay here. He felt the breath come in, go out, again. For 10 seconds, his chest softened. He opened his eyes, gave himself a small smile. Got it. They went out. Friends were there, laughing, talking. Raphael joined in, made jokes, had a beer. Everything seemed fine. Around 10 p.m., there was a pause. Everyone checked their phones for a minute. Conversation dipped. The alarm came back, stronger. His chest tightened, like it was being squeezed. His jaw locked. The mind, they're quiet. I said something wrong earlier. I ruined the mood. He tried again. Went to the bathroom, breathed, told himself, everything's fine. Came back, forced a smile. But the alarm didn't drop. It stayed, pulsing, reinforcing itself. And the night, which could have been light, turned into effort, constant monitoring. On the way home, his girlfriend said, you got quiet at the end. You okay? And Raphael, exhausted, said, yeah, I'm good. He lied to her. He lied to himself, because admitting the alarm felt like giving it more power. Have you had a night like that, where trying to control it left you more drained than if you had just let it be? You don't have to answer, but feel this in your body. The fight costs more than presence. The shift begins when you stop seeing the Watcher as the problem and start seeing it as information, not truth, data. The Watcher notices shifts, silence, absence, and instead of building a story, you notice it back differently. You feel your chest tighten and you say quietly inside, okay, you're here. What are you tracking? Not to solve, to acknowledge, to lower the volume just enough to hear what's underneath. Because underneath every alarm, there's something physical, something the Watcher is trying to protect. Maybe it's fear of rejection. Maybe it's not feeling like enough. Maybe it's the fear of losing what you worked so hard to build. The work isn't to eliminate that. The work is to map it, name it, without going to war. Let's make this practical, not theory, movement. There are 3 simple shifts. They're small, physical, something you can use in the middle of a normal day. First, lower the volume of the alarm, not shut it off, lower it. When you notice your chest tighten, your shoulders lift, your jaw close, pause. 3 seconds. Don't force a deep breath, just stop. Put a hand on your chest or your stomach. Feel the temperature of your skin, the rhythm of your heartbeat. Don't change anything, just feel. And if you can, say quietly, Watcher, I see you. No fight, just recognition. The volume drops because the system realizes it doesn't have to shout to be heard. Second, map the route in the body. After you recognize it, ask, what does this feel like? Not mentally, in your body. Where is it? Chest? Stomach? Throat? Give it a simple name. Tightness of rejection, weight of not being enough, restlessness of losing something. Naming takes away the vagueness. It turns fear into something you can see. Third, act as the observer, not perfectly, as an experiment. Instead of building a scenario, look at what's actually happening. Your girlfriend is just quiet, eating pasta. Your manager paused for 3 seconds. Your phone hasn't buzzed yet. Just that. No story. no conclusion. And then take a small action from that place. Ask something simple. Hey, how's the pasta? Anything new on that report? Want me to call you later? Not to fix anything, just to be there. That small step is what changes everything. Can you feel how different that is from what you usually do? Stay with that feeling. That's the beginning. Let's make this real, not theory. Raphael's body on a normal day. It's 7 a.m. He wakes up with that slight tightness in his chest. The watcher was already on sometime during the night. The mind starts building. What if today's the bad day? First move, lower the volume. He stays in bed for 10 seconds, hand on his chest, feels the warmth of his skin, the rhythm of his heartbeat. Watcher, I see you. No forced breathing, no affirmations, just that. The tightness softens a millimeter. Just enough to get up without carrying the full weight. Second move, map the route. Brushing his teeth, he notices a tightness in his throat. This is the weight of not being enough. Simple name, concrete. He doesn't have to fix it, just name it. Third move, observer. In the kitchen, instead of reaching for his phone and scanning for messages, he looks. The coffee is brewing. The street is waking up. Right now, this is the day. Small action. He opens the window, feels the cool air on his face for 20 seconds. That's it. Small, physical, enough to shift the track just a little. By the end of the day, he didn't eliminate the watcher, but the watcher didn't run the whole thing. Now, the 30-day practice. Not a marathon. Consistency in small moments. Days 1 to 10. Just the first move. Lower the volume 3 times a day. When you notice your shoulders lifting, your jaw tightening, your breath getting shallow, pause. Hand on your body. Watcher, I see you. Keep track, not to compete, just to see the pattern start to reveal itself. Days 11 to 20. Add the mapping. After you recognize it, name the sensation. Tightness in the stomach, fear of loss. Tension in the shoulders, fear of rejection. Write down 3 names a day. Let the patterns show up on their own. Days 21 to 30. Bring in the observer. For 1 minute, just notice what's actually happening. Then take a small action. Ask something neutral. Feel the air, drink water slowly, and then notice what happens in your body after. Don't expect perfect calm. Expect space. Expect the alarm to start learning it doesn't have to be that loud. Raphael did this. Not all at once. He started on a slow Sunday. The silence in his apartment was getting to him. He paused, hand on his chest. Watcher, he mapped it. Fear of emptiness. Then he looked. Sunlight through the window. A distant car passing. He made tea, drank it slowly. The next day, he did it again and again. Around day 25, the tightness in his chest was softer. By day 30, he could sit in silence without filling it with scenarios. Not because he became a different person, because he gave his system a different way to work. Could you try this tomorrow? Just the first move, once. Feel what happens in your body. That's what we do here. We explore the parts of us that learn to protect. We recognize the alarms still running on old patterns. We learn to name them, to observe them, to let them rest. You're not broken. This was learned, and anything learned can be learned again. The shadow has a name, and when it has a name, it loses its grip. Take what resonated most today. Maybe it's one of the moves. Maybe it's a moment from Raphael. Maybe it's just the realization that the alarm came before the thought. If you want to share, what is your watcher tracking today? Or just a sensation that stayed with you. No pressure, just a quiet recognition between people who understand. Take care. Your body knows the way when your mind gives it space.